On Monday, former President Donald Trump sent shockwaves through the nation with a single social media post. He confirmed his intention to declare a national emergency. The reason? To enact his plan for mass deportations of undocumented immigrants. The announcement, shared on his platform, Truth Social, was a repost of Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch. This confirmation solidified Trump's commitment to a controversial campaign promise. The news immediately sparked intense debate across the country. Supporters hailed it as a long-overdue measure to enforce immigration laws. Critics condemned it as a dangerous and inhumane attack on vulnerable communities. One thing was clear: Trump's plan was back on the table, and its implications were enormous. The announcement left many wondering about the details of the plan. How would a national emergency be used to justify mass deportations? What role would the military play? And what would this mean for the millions of undocumented immigrants living in the United States? As the nation grappled with these questions, one thing was certain. Trump's declaration marked a pivotal moment in the ongoing debate over immigration in America. Declaring a national emergency is no small act. It grants the president sweeping powers, allowing them to bypass typical legislative processes and unlock a range of standby authorities. These powers, enshrined in the National Emergencies Act of 1976, have been invoked by presidents from both parties for various reasons, ranging from natural disasters to foreign policy crises. However, Trump's proposed use of emergency powers for mass deportations is unprecedented. Critics argue that it sets a dangerous precedent, expanding executive authority beyond its intended scope. They fear that such a move could erode the balance of power and pave the way for future abuses. Proponents of the plan, however, argue that the president is well within his rights to utilize emergency powers to address what they see as a crisis at the border. They point to the influx of migrants and asylum seekers as justification for swift and decisive action. The debate over the legitimacy of Trump's proposed use of emergency powers is likely to rage on. Legal scholars and constitutional experts are already weighing in, scrutinizing the legal basis for such a move. As the situation unfolds, the courts may ultimately be called upon to decide the legality of Trump's actions. The military's involvement in domestic affairs is always a contentious issue, and Trump's plan for mass deportations is no exception. Utilizing the armed forces to carry out such a large-scale operation would be a complex and unprecedented move. Critics argue that it could militarize immigration's enforcement and lead to potential abuses of power. Proponents, however, see the military as a necessary and effective tool to ensure the plan's success. They argue that the armed forces have the resources and logistical capabilities to manage such a massive undertaking. As the debate continues, the role of the military in Trump's deportation plan remains a critical and highly controversial aspect. The scale of Trump's proposed deportation plan is staggering. Millions of undocumented immigrants living in the United States would be targeted for removal. This raises numerous questions and concerns. How would the government identify and locate these individuals? What impact would mass deportations have on families and communities? And what legal challenges could arise in the process? The human cost of such a plan is immense, with potentially devastating consequences for those affected. As the nation watches and waits, the fate of millions hangs in the balance, and the true impact of Trump's declaration remains to be seen. In recent years, various acts and justifications have come under scrutiny. Governments and organizations often present these measures as necessary for security and stability. However, critics argue that they can sometimes infringe on personal freedoms and human rights. It's a complex issue that requires a delicate balance between safety and liberty. The capacity and conditions of holding facilities have sparked significant debate. Overcrowding and inadequate resources are common concerns. Authorities argue that they are doing their best under challenging circumstances. Meanwhile, human rights advocates call for better conditions and more humane treatment for detainees. Public opinion has shifted dramatically, moving from support to outrage. Initially, many people backed the measures, believing they were essential for national security. However, as more stories of mistreatment and injustice emerged, the tide turned. Now there is growing demand for reforms and greater accountability. The potential impacts of these policies are far-reaching. They affect not only the individuals directly involved, but also the broader society. Debates continue to rage over the effectiveness and morality of these measures. Ultimately, finding a solution that addresses both security concerns and human rights is crucial for moving forward.